This is a HeadGum podcast.
Hello and welcome to The Complete Guide to Everything, a podcast about everything. I'm one of your hosts, Tom.
And I'm Tim.
Tim, how are you doing this week?
Tom, I'm excited.
What for?
Recording this podcast with you.
Good. You know, Tim, your yearly review's coming up. I hope you're not just saying that because you know that that's the case.
Tom, in this scenario, who gives the yearly review? You?
We give them to each other.
I don't like reviewing. I don't like that process.
Yeah.
At a job.
Yeah,
any job I've ever had. Having a review written about me.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, how dare you, right?
Right.
Or having to write a review about somebody else.
Yeah.
It's not my business how somebody does their job.
I shouldn't be the one labeling somebody 100% fresh or rotten.
Oh, yeah. I either give people a Razzie or an Academy Award. I work in the film industry, Tom.
I mean, my old job, I would have to do that for like dozens of people. It sucked. It was like a whole big process.
Yeah, I just feel like I have no business getting involved in anybody else's personal life or professional life.
Yeah.
Like, who am I to judge somebody?
I agree, Tim. You're in no position to pass judgment on anyone.
There's only one guy in my mind who can judge us.
Billy Joel?
Yeah.
The
stranger himself.
You wouldn't think much of it. How many seconds do you think we would get into if Billy Joel was like, so, and what do you guys do? How far into explaining what a podcast is do you think we'd get before he'd wander off?
Do you think Billy Joel would ever ask us, what do we do?
I don't know. Maybe like his wife would be like, be polite, ask them what they do.
Yeah. And
they paid $10,000 to see you at a meet and greet.
They're each 14 years older than I am.
I have to address them as sir. Tim, I'm not doing so hot this week. I right before recording, dropped a fire extinguisher on my foot. I'm pretty sure I broke at least one, if not two, of my toes.
All right. Couple questions.
Were
you fighting a fire at the time?
No, that's the worst part. If it was like, well, and it was worth it because I saved all those kids.
Right.
I threw them outside to the waiting trampoline.
This was, is it a trampoline?
Yeah, well, it's like kind of like a it's more like a trampoline than anything.
It's more
I've ever seen.
Like a trampoline than it is not a trampoline.
It's more like a trampoline than anything.
Right.
That isn't a trampoline.
That's true.
Yeah.
I bet it doesn't have the same springiness.
No, and nor should it.
The kids would be thrown right back through the window.
Right. Well, I mean, like
maybe a window on a lower floor.
Right. Physics, they wouldn't end up in the same window, but who knows? That lower floor might be even worse. So you don't want them ending up, jump out of the fourth floor, end up in the second floor, and that's where the fire started.
Yeah, I think it depends on the tension of the sprint. It might send them as high.
They don't use those anymore, or they only use those in cartoons.
You're talking about the firefighters.
Yeah.
The things that when you jump or throw something
from
out
like
the window.
A burning building.
I don't know that they ever used them.
Yeah. I mean, they must have used them at some point.
Yeah.
Like back in the old days when it was just like, look, this is the best we got.
That's a weird idea though, because you have these firefighters and they probably like in the beginning of firefighting, right?
Right.
And they drive the truck and they're like, oh no, somebody's up there. How do we get them down? Jump, maybe we'll catch you. And then something probably horrible happened, right? And then some guy was like, let's make a trampoline that's not a trampoline and like just have it here it's got to be pretty big. Gotta store it here at the station, figure out how to get it there.
Assemble it on the spot.
Yeah, but back in the day, they didn't have things that you could break down.
Yeah,
everything was just
true.
the size it was.
Yeah.
I feel like that
or
guy
you could
probably
break it down. It'd be like 10,000 parts that you had to put back together.
Yeah, and then you can't put that
You
together
ever
in
see
a pinch.
like a vintage tent, like a camping tent from like the 50s or 60s? It's like 1,000 pieces.
Even in the 80s.
Yeah.
I remember like my parents, before we went camping in like 1988, we had to like practice putting up the tent in the backyard the week before, and it took them like 5 or 6 hours to figure it all out, and then it's like they had to put every piece precisely back in the right place because like if one of them was gone,
Right,
we
the
wouldn't
whole
have
thing
shelter for the weekend.
Yeah, and now tents very easy to put together.
Yeah, doing great things with tents these days. You had a fire extinguisher out for some reason?
No, I was trying. It was under my sink, and I was taking out the trash.
It's very accessible.
Yeah, well, it should be accessible.
You're a regular Frankenstein, huh?
What the hell's that supposed to mean?
Just
a monster?
terrified of fire.
Oh, yeah, I'm terrified of fire. I don't want to be in a fire.
No, nobody.
I don't think that's
Tom,
awful.
Nobody wants to be in a fire.
Do you have a fire extinguisher in your home?
but it's not so accessible that
Or
if I go to
is
take
it
the
like-
garbage out, it's going to
you
fall on
got
my
it
foot.
buried in the back of a closet
I
or
know
something?
where it is, Tom. I don't. You don't
With
need
a
to know
bunch
where
of
it is.
mothballs? Are you afraid I'm going to come over your house and spray the fire extinguisher?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Well, when I
Acting out for
when I
attention.
got rid of my old fire extinguisher because it like expired,
Mhm.
I was like, let me give a little spray, see what happens. Whew, it makes such a mess. Even just like the tiniest spray you could do, huge mess.
Yeah.
Huge mess.
I feel like you always get into weird scrapes with fire extinguishers. What are you doing?
I don't know. This hurt so bad though. It didn't even fall that far, but I guess like it's pretty heavy and hard. And
It's bruised? Can you see a bruise?
Yeah,
on it?
it's a bruise. I think it's broken. I break my toes
I know,
all the time.
This is why
You didn't want to bring it up?
My sympathy is kind of limited here. I feel like every other week you're telling me, "Oh, I just broke my toe." It's like, I don't know what you want from me.
It's so annoying because like
Stop breaking your
I don't
steel tip
I
boots.
might start wearing I don't want to wear steel tip boots around the house, but I might just wear just like the steel tips. Because the rest of my foot's fine.
Just get like brass knuckles for your toes.
No, I think that would make it even worse. I want my toes covered with steel, not steel in between them.
Okay.
It might have helped in this case. It might have helped, or it might have caused my toe to just be like severed clean off.
Right. I mean, at some point, you just have to consider you're breaking.
At some
these
point,
things.
based on how often I break my toes, at some point I'm going to lose one or two of them.
Yeah.
I think.
You could stand to lose a couple toes, right?
How dare you?
Just
No, Tim, I can't stand to lose a couple of toes. That's what I use for my balance for standing.
I'm surprised that we haven't evolved past toes by this point.
Why?
What purpose do toes serve?
You don't, but your evolution takes longer than that. Evolution doesn't just like immediately get rid of things if they're not useful.
No, but when have toes been useful to mankind?
Back when we didn't wear shoes and you had to grip things with your toes.
Yeah, but how long ago was that?
Like 10,000 years ago. And evolution doesn't work that fast.
Some people should have. I mean, I guess some people do have webbed feet.
Yeah. You don't want that.
Why not?
I don't know. I mean, you'll be better at swimming, I guess.
Yeah.
But what if the webbing rips?
What if you drop a dang fire extinguisher on your toe?
It's true. Well, if not only my
Every situation has its pitfalls, Tom.
if it was bruised like it is right now and potentially broken, but then also it was like, oh, and all my webs ripped, that'd be awful. That would make it so much worse.
I don't know. Quit breaking your toes is what I'm saying.
I want to, Tim.
What are you going to do about this one?
I don't know. I'm probably just going to have to tie it to the other one.
Are you going to go to the doctor?
No,
Are you going to go to the doctor, Tom, about your toe, about your tiny little toe?
No, because there's really nothing you can do with like broken toes, at least like the little toes.
Yeah.
They can't make like a little toe cast for you.
Right.
Nor
would you want that.
And like when I went to the doctor, when I broke my thumb earlier in the year, yeah, I went, that was like late at night. What?
For some reason, the fact that this stuff is happening to you, in my head, in my mind right now, I'm going, this Tommy's so dramatic.
Look, I don't want these things to happen. I'm not
be more
like
careful, Tom.
I'm not on the ground crying, telling you to take me to an ambulance. But
No.
I did. I'm pretty sure I broke one of my toes. And when I broke one of my fingers, which was the first time that had happened, they were like, yeah, you broke it. There's, nothing really we can do. Just like keep it still. Yeah, here we'll give you a finger splint, but it'll be a bad one.
Right. Why did they say it would be a bad one?
Because it was meant for like the other fingers.
Why didn't they just give you one that was...
They didn't have any thumb splints.
Like they were
and
just
I was
out
like,
of
well,
them that
that's
day?
fair. I'm paying $300, so why would I expect you to
They
have
were out of something?
Yeah.
How much did they charge you for the finger splint that they put on the thumb? Probably like they charged your insurance probably $3,500.
Yeah, no,
Even though you could get it at a Dwayne Reed for...
Fuck, that reminded me that I need to like look into that actually.
That's very interesting. You want to go into more detail about that?
No, because it wasn't like a place that was covered by my insurance, but it was also like, I don't know, 1:00 in the morning. So like places that were covered weren't.
You went to the hospital?
No, like an urgent care.
Urgent care at 1 a.m. for a broken thumb?
Yeah.
Let's wait till the morning, Tom.
No, I didn't know if it was broken or not.
Well,
and
it
then
was broken, and they didn't really even do anything.
And then I looked on Google, and it was like, oh, if you broke your thumb, you should immediately get it fixed, because like if it's not set right, it could, kill you or something.
I mean, everything can kill you if it doesn't set right.
Well, I'm telling you, my toes are killing me right now.
And then they gave you a thing that you could buy at a pharmacy.
Yes.
Let's go to the pharmacy.
I had to go buy one at a pharmacy because the one they gave me sucks so much. And then I got these ones from Amazon that were skin colored, and they just looked gross. It looked like
skin colored. No, nothing should be skin colored.
Yeah.
It's like it's more distract because like nothing is truly like invisible. And
right.
So like,
and skin colored, it's they have
first of all, problematic, right? Because
I was gonna say they have one flesh color,
yeah,
and it's like, here it is, the color of everyone's flesh
happens to be the exact color of our flesh.
Well, but it's closer, but it still was like it was like a way pinker,
right.
like a not.
You're pretty pink, Tom.
I wish I was more pink. I think I'm more gray lately.
Just in general, I'm jaundiced.
Yeah, you're looking kind of yellow, Tim.
Did you? One last question.
Yes. Okay.
Did you go to a tanning salon to get a base tan this year, the way that you used to do?
No, Tim, I didn't.
Okay.
Why did you ask that?
We were talking about skin color. You used to go to a tanning salon to get a base tan.
If I was going on vacation in the winter so I wouldn't get sunburned.
Okay.
That's all.
So you haven't done that this summer?
No, and I don't think I even did it that many times, because I think one time I did that and then I got like really sunburned anyway.
We're doing a topic that is like more near and dear to your heart than mine, so I'm just trying to get you all riled up.
Good.
Before we get into
mission
it.
accomplished. That's what they say in space. Tim, the space race is back, and this time it's private.
Yeah. It's and this time it's distasteful to everybody except those involved.
Yeah, it used to just be distasteful to, I was going to say the Russians, but they were in the space race.
They won the space race.
Well, they won the first race.
Yeah. And then we like made up a new thing.
No, that's not what the race is.
Total. That's like the definition of moving the goalposts, huh?
Yeah.
It's like when you're racing a little kid, and they're like, "No! Actually, it's to those monkey bars
let's have
over
a
there."
race to space.
Yeah.
Oh, you won? Well, let's go to the moon.
Yeah, we meant the moon the whole time, guys.
But there's a new space race, and this time it's a private space race.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? We still hear about it.
Yeah,
even
and
though
we
it's
still
private.
Yeah, hey, have some modesty. Hey, Richard Branson, you freaking virgin, why don't you for once in your life have some modesty? Quit screaming all this embarrassing
Tim,
stuff about you.
All he's got is modesty. That's how he's still a virgin. Because every time he's about to make it, he's like, I don't want to unsheath.
Unsheath.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Well, yeah, I guess that's... You like unsheath a sword. He
Yeah.
keeps his penis in a little
All
case.
right, okay.
What? He does. It's true.
I mean, all rich guys do. We know this.
Should we start a rumor that there's like, really rich guys, they have like a case for their penis?
Yeah. And then we'll manufacture and sell them these cases.
To the rich guys.
Yeah.
And we'll, like, when people become newly rich, we'll be like, hello.
Oh, you didn't know that you were supposed to have a case?
We'll be like, well, a lot of people don't know about this. And, because.
No, we can't say a lot of people don't know. We have to make them feel.
Oh, everybody knows.
Yeah, we have to make them feel like, oh, if you don't have this, and like, you better get this right now. And this is the nice version.
Before you run into another billionaire and they,
they laugh at you.
Well, you're at some, big to-do fundraiser or whatever. And you sidle up to the urinal, and the billionaire next to you is like, the
billionaire next to you goes out and you hear shing.
Yeah. And they say to you, did you just take your penis out of your pants and underwear? Ooh.
You didn't properly unsheath.
Party foul. Ooh, uncouth.
Party
and then
foul. That's something billionaires say all the time.
All we need to do is get one billionaire on board.
Yeah.
Just to like work the scam with us, and then we'll become billionaires, because these cases will be expensive.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And then we start bringing them to the wider market. Hey,
right. Well, I was just thinking
thing.
once we're very rich from selling these, then finally we can afford a couple of these for
thank
ourselves.
God, yeah.
Join the club. No. Well, what the billionaires are involved in right now is like a more obvious version of that, of a dick measuring contest, which is who can get to space first. Well, Richard Branson did it,
but that's contested,
right?
And there's been a whole thing on Twitter where billionaires are taking shots at each other on Twitter while the world literally burns.
It is crazy. Like, I mean, I don't know if we've talked about this on the show, but I know we've talked about it in private, that like, to me, becoming even just like a millionaire, one of the biggest perks would be like, I could delete Twitter.
Yeah.
I would have other things to occupy my life. I wouldn't have to just look at this app that makes me feel bad all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And like occasionally it makes me chuckle. Occasionally
it used to make me chuckle all the time, but now it's just for fights and bad news.
Yeah. But these billionaires,
So you just looked into the middle distance. Everything okay? It looked like you were really coming to
just like, man,
terms with
that
something.
really is what Twitter is now. No,
was
but
a song that was "Hello, Darkness, my old
exactly
friend," playing in your head.
Yeah, it's playing in my head pretty much all the time nowadays. But you
know what's playing in my head? Oh, Cecilia, you're breaking my heart. You're shaking.
That's pretty. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
They're all on Twitter. They're arguing with each other about where space is. The rest of us are like, ooh, I don't care where space is. I'm never going to go to space.
Right.
Hopefully not. If I go to space at this point, It's an accident. Something happened.
It's an accident or something horrible has happened.
I crawled in to take a nap somewhere I wasn't supposed to, and all of a sudden I'm in space.
As I get older, I'd like to nap in more interesting places.
Yeah, I'd like to become one of those guys that's like, oh, I know like a good place to nap in, like, you know, anywhere in the city. Or I mean, maybe not the city, but like within I don't know. I was gonna say like a building I go to all the time, but I don't really go to buildings.
You're home, but you already sleep in there every day.
Yeah, I know all the good nap spots in my home: bed and couch.
I just want to have the confidence to like fall asleep at the beach, but not for too long.
You can't fall asleep at the beach?
No.
Why not?
I can't relax enough.
Why
Isn't
not?
that yeah?
Yeah, I love sleeping at the beach. That's like what I do at the beach.
You ever sleep at the park?
Can't
do that
I've fallen
either.
asleep at the park. Yeah.
I'm afraid somebody at the beach or the park, somebody's gonna come up and like hit me with a brick or something.
Well, maybe you should stop making so many enemies if that's what you're worried about.
Yeah, at least so many brick wielding enemies.
Tim, the private space race has heated up. Now, we would be remiss if we did not mention that even though this is like the first time private companies are starting to go to space, private citizens have been to space before.
Ernest goes to space.
I think he was working for the government then.
Did they do an Ernest Goes to Space?
Yeah, I think so.
If not, it's certainly a missed opportunity.
Fertile ground. I think they did, and it wasn't one of the good ones.
Are they gonna?
Are they gonna?
Are they ever gonna deep fake Jim Varney? Do you think?
Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing to you?
I can't.
Because it's disgusting to bring, reanimate Jim Varney's corpse if that's not what he wanted.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like the world needs more Ernest movies.
And Tom, Ernest Goes to Space was not a film.
What?
Ernest Goes to School.
Oh.
Ernest Goes to Splash Mountain.
Really?
Tony Goes to Space Part 2, but this
What the hell is
this looks like
is that a spinoff?
Tony Goes to Space Part 2, Attack of the Bones. I don't think this is anything.
That sounds
having
like
to
it
do
might
with
be
Ernest.
a pornographic film.
Yeah.
No, for like a while, the Russian space agency was, letting anybody that had enough money and was, willing to go through the training. They had to learn at least some Russian because, all the
the commands.
Yeah, all the signs and everything
No
and
smoking.
Labels. Yeah, where it's
Can
like
you smoke on a Russian
you
rocket
probably
ship?
get you might have to. That
Yeah.
might actually be required. But I forgot. I thought Lance Bass had gone to space, but he didn't.
Really?
Yeah.
That was like 20 years ago that
I
they were
know.
talking about this. He still hasn't gotten there?
No, and apparently he
I
was
thought it was
like
pronounced last base.
Bass Base.
That was Bass. It was a joke. I didn't mean to make you feel insecure, Tom.
Well, it's too late. No, he did all the training and everything, but at the very last minute couldn't pony up the money. Cool 20 mil that I guess like they were a documentary crew was going to do like a 7-part documentary on this. And I think, probably when they went around to get funds, they were like, you're not going to make $20 million back on a documentary about a guy from NSYNC going to space. Right? Like, I wouldn't have watched that.
You probably would have watched it, but you would have pirated it.
No, because it would have just been like anybody else going to space, which like nobody pays attention to.
I don't know.
Nah, I mean, if it was good, if I heard it was good, I would watch it. But otherwise, if it's just like, oh, this is just like every other time somebody's been to space, but this is Lance Bass. Whereas this, if he had done it a few years earlier when NSYNC was like at their height, maybe. But at this point, it was like Lance Bass. You can't get, $20 million worth of, people wanting to see a documentary about you going to space.
Yeah, but he also gets to go to space.
Well, he could have just ponied that money up himself, I think, if he really wanted to.
Do you think Lance Bass has $20 million?
I don't think
now?
so.
Do you think he ever did?
No, I think Lou Pearlman like stole all their money.
Yeah.
I one time had
dinner with Lou Pearlman.
No,
I know we've heard the story.
Drinks with Chris Kirkpatrick from NSYNC.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was there too, Tom.
Yeah, well, and he was a nice guy, but he struck me as a guy that did not have $20 million.
Yeah. Yeah, he begged us to buy him a drink.
No, that's not true. But like, I don't know. If he had $20 million, I don't think he would have been at this bar hanging out.
Yeah.
With a bunch of people.
Yeah, maybe.
Nice guy.
Yeah, $20 million is a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of money to like drop on
like a couple hours
vacation. No, in this he was gonna be in space for like 8 days.
Oh, I thought this was one of the things where they go up
which
and
is
they come down.
a big thing I want to talk about because that's kind of what the nonsense is nowadays. I think. No, he would have gone to the International Space Station. He would have been up there for like 8 days.
Oh, that's really cool.
Oh yeah, and that's where it's like, all right, if you can like scrap together the cash. But
also it's hellish up there. It sucks.
No, it doesn't.
I'm going to pay $20 million and have to poop in front of everybody?
Yeah. Tim, you don't have to poop in
You
front.
do have to poop in front of everybody.
Not in the ISS.
There's a curtain.
ISS is bigger than like a little capsule.
At some point, he's going to have to poop in front of somebody.
No, because if you're going to poop, you can be like, hey, everybody, just don't come in this room for, a few minutes.
Yeah, but they got test tubes and they got things they got to do. They got to flip some switches in there.
You can tell them I'm going to take care of that while I'm pooping because guess what?
Everybody gets their own room whenever they want on the International Space Station.
I think if you're going to poop, because when you poop, it's like a vacuum that you have to tape to your butt.
You don't know anything. I read an article about it.
No, and then you're like, look, tell me which test tubes I need to flip. I'll be a little mobile because I tape the tube to my butt so I can move around a little bit.
Right.
Nothing crazy. I can't go running on the treadmill, but I could flip some tubes if you want me to. So that's private citizens, but now. Private companies going into space. Tim, three big old companies that are in this new space race. Virgin Galactic, SpaceX,
and that's okay.
Virgin Galactic is Richard Branson. SpaceX is Elon Musk, and Blue Origin, which is Jeff Bezos.
The bees.
And now, by the time this comes out, Jeff Bezos will be only a day or two away from going to space. But I want to talk first about Richard Branson. Did you watch Richard Branson going to space?
No, I don't know. Did you?
I didn't watch it live, but I watched the clips afterwards.
Did you pirate it?
No, I didn't pirate. There was no need to pirate it, Tim. It wasn't like pay-per-view. I've been pirating a lot of pay-per-view fights. Oh, I probably shouldn't say that. They've been like going after people who say that.
Fights?
Fisticuffs.
Like UFC?
I won't tell you which because then they can't go after me.
Do you even like watching fighting?
No, certainly not enough to pay like $50.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's like you didn't read a book for 20 years and then they came out with Kindle and you were like, I could pirate books on this thing? And then you became a reader and then a published author.
Virgin Galactic.
You like to steal, Tom. That's what you like to do.
I'll steal your heart.
You already have, my friend.
No, I don't like to steal. And I watched, it was free. They weren't charging you to watch this. Believe me, Tim, all these billionaires want as many people as possible to see them going into space. Yeah. So the way this Virgin Galactic thing works is that it's like a regular plane. I think it's maybe a 747, like one of those, that has like another plane attached to it. And basically the 747 goes like as high as it can. And then it's like, that's all we got, boys. Release the other plane, the Virgin plane. and then that to couples, and then the other plane's like, all right, see you later.
It's smaller.
Yeah, the other one's
more
smaller.
Nimble.
Yeah, well, and it's got like 2 rockets on it.
Mm-hmm.
So once that detaches,
Totally burns up the 747, catches fire, falls out of the sky.
They wait for the 747 to get out of the way before they light up the rockets. But then it just rockets up. So it takes off horizontally. It doesn't go straight up. And as a result, it can't go quite as high, but it's a lot cheaper to do it that way. It uses like way less fuel than just going straight up. But this first flight, it was Branson, and then like, you know, some employees, some specialists or whatever. But they've only got, once they get up there, like a few minutes of weightlessness. And like as soon as they get up, and like it looks cool, you can see out the windows. It's like, oh, it's fucking space. And the pilots are like, all right, we're in space. You can take off your seatbelts, float around. Mm-hmm. Richard Branson had like a prepared speech that he gave. And the whole time he's like, and it's obvious that like he has this memorized and he had been rehearsing. He's like, ever since I was a little boy. And meanwhile, the people behind him are taking off their seatbelts, having the fucking time of their lives.
Yeah, I mean, that sucks being
flying around. He's like, ever since I looked up into the great blue beyond. It's like, shut up, you dork, and take off your seatbelt and float around.
Yeah.
He saw it as, you know, like, you know, one small step for man. Well, it's like, nobody gives a shit. Oh, I wanted to go to space, so I became so rich.
Yeah, people have been going to space constantly.
Yeah, you were the first person rich enough to go to space. Yeah. Cool. Enjoy it, pal. Don't give a dumb little speech while everybody's having a blast behind you. And then finally, you know, he finishes his little speech, and then he undoes his seatbelt, and then he floats around. He's like, oh, God. Oh, God.
He said that?
Yeah.
What, like, what, was he in pain?
No, he just like, he couldn't believe it.
Oh.
But that was the thing too. I was like, man, I wouldn't want to be one of these people. I mean, they probably forgot about it, but Richard Branson didn't. That's like, the cameras are on you. And It's like, I would want to be like, no, nobody look at me. I just want to.
Nobody look at me while I'm in space.
Yeah, nobody look at me while I'm in space. I just want to enjoy this. I want to have the time of my life. I don't want to worry about some podcasts later on making fun of me.
What's this mean? Have the time of your life? Who cares? You're just in a thing for a couple minutes.
Going every which way.
Look, all these guys, they're just like the rest of us. We all unsheath our wieners and pee in the same toilets.
So, then Richard Branson, they come back down, and what do you do when you come back down from space, Tim? You got a stage set up, and you have Khalid perform his new single.
Khalid?
Yeah.
DJ Khaled?
No, not DJ Khaled. It is a different guy, Khalid.
Yeah. Well, there was also controversy, Tom.
Yeah.
They showed during the live stream what they purported. Like,
they showed somebody's butt. I called the FCC.
They showed what they purported was Richard Branson live riding a mountain bike to the launch.
Oh yeah,
and then he got out, and they're like, "Sir, you're late." And he's like, "I'm sorry, I was riding my bicycle." And like that was filmed over a week earlier, Tom.
Yeah.
It was all faked, but then. They presented it as if it were live. They didn't present it as like a cheeky opening.
Right.
And I think they had a partnership with like Trek Bikes or one of the bike companies. Yeah. And like the bike company that morning like put out a press release like Richard Branson rode our bike to
space.
Yeah, and
in
like
a way.
And now it's just like, well, you can't really like lie like you can put together a fun video,
right, where it's obvious that it's fake. Yeah,
but I don't know. Then like, what are we supposed to believe? Was the entire thing faked?
Yeah, who knows? Maybe
Richard Branson is a goddamned liar.
Also, I mean, I get it, But like, I don't know, if you're like a billionaire and you're going to space, I think you'd want to be like, no fucking sponsorships. I don't care how much money they're giving.
Right.
I'm rich. The whole point of this is to show how rich I am.
Whole point of it
if I have to do a little commercial for a different company beforehand.
Yeah. No, the whole point of it is about exploration and furthering the bounds of human knowledge or something, right? That's what they claim it is, even though it's stuff that like NASA did 60 years ago.
I mean, that's where I give Virgin and Richard Branson a little bit of credit, because they seem to be more like unabashedly like, this is for tourism.
Right.
We're going to put a Virgin hotel up in orbit and people will be able to go there, extremely rich people. And we also hope that one day we'll be able to like fly this type of plane like up into space to get from like New York to London faster.
Some of these incredibly rich people are going to freaking burn up.
Well, so there was an accident back in 2014 with Virgin Galactic where a test pilot did die.
Wow. That's Tom.
Well,
you can't bring that up. That's horrible.
So that don't bring that up. Well, it happened. And that was supposedly, according to him, part of why Richard Branson went on the first flight. Which, like, I mean, it's like, no, you want on the first flight because you want to go on the first flight.
Right.
But there is something to be said of like, yeah, I'm sure this guy checked it out that he was like, there has to be no chance I'm going to die in this.
Right.
So, you know, to make other passengers feel safe.
The other thing is, Tom, I know they had a couple minutes of weightlessness.
Yeah.
You ever see the movie Apollo 13? They brought Tom Hanks and Gary Sinise up there into a plane, and then just took the plane into a nosedive for a couple minutes. Well, and that's how they filmed all the weightless scenes. Just do that, Richard Branson. They were doing that in 1995.
So you're talking about the Vomit Comet.
Yeah.
Which there is now a company called Zero G, and they actually operate out of Las Vegas. So if you're in Vegas, you can go book, you know, just like you're booking like a hot air balloon ride and go on one of these Vomit Comets. It costs $7,500. You get to do 15 drops and they're 30 seconds each, roughly.
Man.
Now, what?
Apollo 13 must have taken so long to film.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't use that for the entire movie.
Right.
They use it for like a few shots.
For the EPK, you think? Do you think it was all for the EPK?
No. Well, part of it, I'm sure.
Because I remember watching a pretty cool EPK feature.
Yeah.
Electronic press kit for all you noobs
well,
out
also,
there.
I feel like movies back then were also like all about telling you that like, oh, we're using some like really crazy cutting edge technology for this, when it's like they use that for a little bit. Like the biggest one I always think about.
Was that crazy and cutting edge? They took a plane really high and then made it do a nosedive.
Yeah, but
and Ron Howard was like, roll quick, roll the cameras.
Well, they led you to believe like, and that's how we did the entire movie. Right. When it's like, that's how they did a couple of shots that, you know, I'm sure were cool shots.
Yeah.
But you know, otherwise it's like, oh, we use like wires and harnesses for a lot of it.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking of like Jurassic Park, where they were like, it is computer generated. And then it wasn't until like 30 years later, you found out like, some of it was computer generated. A lot of it was very good puppets. Yeah. And that's why it looks so good. And that's why it's also held up
now.
Oh, absolutely.
Should do everything with puppets.
But back then, you know, back in the 90s, people were like, we've seen enough puppets. Show me more computers.
Yeah.
I'm getting all these AOL CDs in the mail. I don't know what it's for, but now I go and see Jurassic Park. I'm like, oh, that's what computers can do. They can make dinosaurs.
If I want to watch...
I'm going to throw out all my puppets.
If I want to watch puppets, I can watch Muppets Tonight on ABC.
Right. You
You getting choked up over there, Tom?
Yeah. What I do think is cool is that they actually give you 3 different experiences on that 0G flight.
The vomit comet.
Yeah. So they do the full 0, gravity free fall. But they also do lunar and Martian gravity. So you can feel what it's like to be on the moon or on Mars.
How accurate do you think that is?
Probably not super
Some
accurate.
dudes in Vegas got some rubes on a freaking airplane that they're going to almost crash.
I just think that you're on that plane when that's happening. Like, there's, obviously the plane, they have all the seats pulled out and everything, but it's like, but you can't really like bounce around like on the moon. Like you can't be like, let me see how high I can jump.
That's true.
And if you can't really like jump, then you probably don't get that much of a feel. It's probably more like we warm you up to this and
in a fun way. Yeah.
In a fun way.
Yeah.
So we'll tell you, hey, this is what it'd be like on Mars. Now here's 2 we're going to do on the moon. Because I'm sure if they probably have tried it and it's like, oh, when we do 0G right away, people just throw up like crazy.
Most of the people just pass out.
Yeah. But you do get to keep your flight suit at the end.
Really?
Yeah.
I paid $6,500 just for a flight suit.
I don't know if I've told you this, but I've been thinking about just wearing a flight suit all the time.
That wouldn't be a terrible idea.
Yeah. I watched that show For All Mankind on Apple. It's very good. But like the people, like the astronauts in the show, like they always wear the flight suits, even like in the office. So like everybody else is wearing like shirts and ties and dresses, but they've just got flight suits on all the time. I'm like, yeah, they look so cool.
Yeah. I've been thinking about wearing a army uniform to get discounts.
No,
at like restaurants.
Tim, that's
and stuff.
stolen valor. You can't do that. You can't go get the military discount at IHOP by wearing. Hey,
how are they gonna know?
Well, if there's another service member there, Tim, they might take one look at you and know for certain.
I do computers.
Yeah, they'd be like, you still have to go through basic training.
Yeah, but I did that, 12 years ago.
A long time ago. Yeah.
And look at all these medals I've accrued in the
You would
meantime.
have a lot of medals on.
Yeah.
You would look like a South
why
American
do they
dictator.
Sell them? Yeah, why do they sell them at the freaking army surplus stores if you've
because it's surplus. They've got too much of it. It's not up to them to decide how you wear it. They're trying to sell them to other soldiers who maybe spilled spaghetti on a uniform and they're thinking, oh, if I go back to drill sergeant, it's going to be so mad. Let me go to the army surplus store real quick, buy a new one.
Well, I'll see how much people are really upset by stolen valor. Be murdered within the hour.
Beaten unconscious, put into a coma for a decade. Virgin Galactic tickets cost $250,000.
Okay. And that's for a few minutes of weightlessness?
Yeah, less than 10 minutes. They've been selling these tickets since 2004, and they've sold about 600 tickets.
So this is, and now
finally people are getting the
17
cash
years
in those
later,
tickets.
somebody paid $250,000 in 2004 dollars.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if they had to pay full price or probably just had to like put down a deposit.
Yeah.
Or they paid full price and they've gotten so much richer since then.
How many people have done it?
600.
So you probably don't even get to meet Richard Branson.
No, probably. I mean, maybe like the first few people will, but yeah, probably not all of them.
What would you do if you met Richard Branson? I bet he's shorter than you think, right?
Yeah, probably.
Hey, Siri.
That doesn't just work. No, it's my computer.
How tall is Richard Branson?
Richard Branson is 5 feet, 11 inches tall.
5'11". Yeah. So I can't believe that worked. I like that you changed your Siri to a male voice, Tom.
Yeah. Tim, the other voice was sexist. No, actually, I was thinking today.
The other voice got me all hot and bothered.
I couldn't get any work done. Well, they're doing 2 more test flights before they let customers go up. But I do wonder if they did have to pay full price, if there's anyone who, like, I don't know, was like a victim of Bernie Madoff or something. Who's like, oh, I gotta get that $250,000 back. I lost everything. It's just been. Do
you
like
think Branson's like, nope, you're going up to space, whether you like it or not.
We're gonna come to your house and strap you in if we have to. So now the next one that's going up is going to be Jeff Bezos.
Not Musk?
No, Musk. We'll get into Musk later. But Jeff Bezos is going up like I said earlier on Tuesday. Now, a few things different about this. Branson's thing, it was 6. It was from a plane. Jeff's thing is 4 people, and it's a capsule at the top of a very phallic rocket. It looks like a penis. And like
Jeff Bezos looks like a penis himself.
Exactly. And, people are making a lot of fun of it, which completely understandable that like it literally looks like a penis when like this is such a dick measuring contest. But at the same time, I feel a little bit bad because I'm like, well, I mean, a rocket looks like a penis no matter what.
And Jeff Bezos didn't design it.
I'm sure he had some input, but it really did.
Make it look more like me. And they're just like,
Well, because the thing is, there's a capsule at the top of it.
Right.
And like the capsule's, a little bit wider than the base.
Like the head of a penis.
Yeah, it looks like the head of a penis. So it's a rocket, and this will have paying customers.
Well, there's been a weird controversy today.
The paying customer bailed. The paying customer apparently literally had a scheduling conflict.
Now, do you think it was an actual scheduling like that? How much did he pay, or he or she pay?
$28 million.
$28 million on the hook for it still.
I believe so. I think this person's still going to get to go to space. But yeah, I mean, it was. I would imagine because it was an auction, so it's like, well, you outbid everybody, pal. Yeah. Like, if you can't go that day, we're not refunding you.
Now, Tom, and I'm sure by the time this comes out, there will be more reporting on this. But aside from, like, if it were a death in the family, they would say it was a death in the family.
Yeah, I feel like they would kind of say like.
A scheduling conflict. Tom, is there anything? What is an example of something that you'd be like, you couldn't be able to move because you were going to fucking space that day?
Yeah.
Like that you couldn't be like, hey, can we do this actually like 12 hours later?
Right.
I got this thing. I paid $28 million to go to space for 10 minutes. This is not that scheduling conflict doesn't exist. If there's a scheduling conflict, going to space wins out. A conflict, the better thing wins.
Right. If it's anything that can be possibly moved, or that missing will not like ruin your relationship with like a loved one.
Yeah, but like even like, oh, it's my kid's birthday. Hey, guess what?
Well, and that's the thing. When this person won the auction, it was for this date.
Yeah.
So the date was free at some point.
This guy got cold feet. This guy didn't.
Cold feet, or do you think it was maybe just like a brilliant
troll?
Yeah, kind of a like, oh, Jeff Bezos, I'm busy that day.
Yeah.
I got
Elon Musk did it?
I got more important shit than going to space with you knucklehead. So in his stead, an 18-year-old boy is going.
That's the thing. He's surrounding himself with people that everybody would be sad if they blew up.
Yeah,
to protect himself.
Yeah, his brother. Everybody'd be real upset.
No,
Jeff Bezos'
no, it
brother
was
died.
a woman, an astronaut who didn't get to go to space for some reason.
Mary Wallace Funk. She is 82. She was part of a program, which is actually in For All Mankind, of potential women that could have been part of the Mercury space program.
Right.
But then they were like, oh, it's the 60s. No.
And sadly never made it to Mercury.
Never. No, none of them did. So ultimately, she probably...
So he put an 82-year-old woman and a child on board with him.
Yeah, so they will be the oldest and youngest people to ever travel to space. So 2 records there.
Yeah, but also it'd be a thing where it's like, well, now you guys all can't watch and root for this thing to literally explode and go
Probably
up in flames and blow up in my literal face.
Probably the first time 2 siblings will be in space together, or even 2 members of the same family, I would think.
No, didn't
No, because Hatfield, right? That's who you're thinking of?
Who are you talking about, Hatfield?
The guy, the twins. One of them went to space, one of them stayed on the ground.
No, who's Gabby Gifford's husband?
Yeah, not, yeah.
He's a senator now.
Yeah, that's not Hatfield? No, it's a different guy. Yeah, but that's who I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. I thought they were...
No, because that was the whole thing.
I guess that's too confusing.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing. That was what whole thing?
That one of them went to space for a year, one stayed on the ground, and then they were like, all right, now let's see if one of you got all fucked up from being in space for a year.
Right.
And we'll be able to compare you to the other guy.
Mark Kelly.
Yeah, Mark Kelly. Yeah, so that I thought
that was the whole thing. Of course, everybody knows that they wanted to compare these 2 bald men to each other.
Let's send 2 twins up to space just to pull some pranks, and people will be like,
Scott Kelly and Mark Kelly.
Yeah, they're both astronauts, but I don't think they were both ever up in space at the same time.
Yeah, but you don't know.
2 other important. I'm telling you, that's what I think.
Tom, I don't pay you to think.
The other 2 big differences with this shuttle, with this vehicle going into space. Number 1, no pilot in this thing, Tim. So this, you can finally say all these people are cowards because all they're doing, they're just sitting for the ride.
Yeah, I mean, I would never say anybody who goes to space is a coward.
Oh, so Jeffrey Bezos is a brave man? Is that what you're saying?
Tom, would you go on this trip?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, why not? I mean, honestly, it sounds like, and I saw one of them talking about it where they were like, yeah, I mean, at a certain point, it's basically like a roller coaster where it's like, well, they've checked everything out, and now I just kind of have no choice but then to trust all of these systems to get me up to space and back down to space.
Yeah, but a roller coaster runs dozens of times a day.
I mean, they've done lots of tests with these things.
I know, but
Unmanned
they did
tests,
lots of
they put
tests
mannequins
with,
in the
Challenger as well, and
that was the O-rings.
and they almost put Big Bird on that thing. Still the craziest factoid ever. That would have been insane. We would have just had to shut down the space program, right?
Well, I mean, they kind of did after that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would be like, well, Big Bird didn't die in it, so it's not really a tragedy.
Yeah, or they would have had to pretend like it didn't happen and not upset a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
The other thing is that this system has like an escape mechanism where basically if a problem's detected,
where one guy in Jeff Bezos' seat gets to eject and be completely safe.
No,
while
actually,
everybody else burns in a fiery.
So
hell.
it is actually meant for if there were an issue like the Challenger, where as at takeoff it's like, oh, something's wrong, because like when the Challenger happened, like they were getting readings like, oh shit, something's happening before. And this is like an automated system, so it wouldn't even need human intervention. But if something happens, the top, the head of the penis, shoots off to get away
Nice.
from the shaft. And I watched because they did a test of this, and watching it's like, man, yeah, you would survive that, I guess, but like, holy moly, because you're already rocketing into space, and then this thing's got to shoot you faster than rocking to space to get away. I think it would be harrowing.
Yeah.
And then even when it lands, it's got parachutes and everything, but when it landed, it like kicked up a lot of dust. So it also looked like it would be a rough landing.
Yeah. Well, it's not for the weak-willed, Tom.
John Glenn was 77 when he went to space.
That's
remember that?
Yeah,
that was
I remember
wild.
that. I remember that being wild, but again, he sat in a chair.
Yeah, but he was up there for like 8 days.
Yeah, he was orbiting the Earth.
Yeah.
Taking it all in.
So that's...
Hey, take it all in, you creep.
John Glenn wasn't a creep.
He's a bit of a creep. Well-documented creep.
You think that's what the other astronauts who held him in like the highest regard, he was a take it in creep.
Yeah.
So that's the one point of contention. So there was this bullshit thing with like Jeff Bezos' company saying like Branson didn't go past the Kármán line. So it wasn't really space. That was all kind of nonsense, because where Branson went, the FAA and NASA considers it space.
Right.
Basically, Bezos's company was like, well, no, 96% of the country considers this space because this is an international agency's whatever. It's not an international agency. It's like a Norwegian space thing. And it's like, well, they don't even have, like a space program. There's just like,
I mean, you don't have to shit on Norway.
I'm just saying that, like, I think they would also say like, oh, we
stink.
No, I think they would say we were mischaracterized. We're not in opposition.
Well, have they said that, Tom?
I don't. They speak Norwegian.
Yeah, how are we supposed to know what they're saying? Yeah,
I think, and that's why I think Bezos was counting on that. It's like, well, even if this organization doesn't exist and the Norwegian government has to come out, who's gonna know?
Yeah.
But basically, it's 50 miles above the Earth's surface versus 62 miles. Now,
I mean, 62 is more than 50.
Oh, yeah. But I don't think it's like that big of a difference. Like at
20%.
I thought at first that it was like 100%. There was like 50 miles and 100 miles, but it's not. I more take issue with the fact that, as far as I know, pretty much everybody that's ever been to space has orbited the Earth at least once, Right. And in these cases, it's like, these are all suborbital flights.
Right.
And like,
I know a dog that went higher than that.
Exactly. Well, and like John Glenn and what's his name? Yuri Gagarin, the first Soviet in space. Like Yuri was up there for 108 minutes from like takeoff to landing. He did one orbit around the globe. John Glenn was up there for 5 hours. I think he did like
so up there for 5 hours?
The first time, yeah. And
wait, not the second time.
No, yeah. When he was a young man, when he was the first American in space. But he was up there for 5 hours. I think he did like 3 orbits. None of these guys, they're going up for a few minutes.
Yeah.
And like, I get it. That's more than I've ever done. But it's still like, well, you're still not matching what NASA and the Soviet Union were capable of in the 60s.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's freaking
so that's
70 years ago.
That's where I think when Jeff Bezos' company's like, well, it's not the Kármán line. It's like, well, none of you are orbiting the Earth, so fuck all of you.
Yeah. All right. Now tell me about Musk.
Musk?
SpaceX, which made to sound like you're saying sex in the name of his company.
Space sex.
Right? That's his whole MO, right?
Yeah, he's real into sex, Tim.
Yeah.
He's a sexy man. He's really into sex.
He's very funny. I saw him on a comedy TV show.
They filmed a porno on the Vomit comic called The Uranus Experiment Part 2.
Part 2.
Yeah.
All right, I'm on board.
And it is surprisingly hard. I could not find video of this anywhere. All I could find was a review that said, like, there's maybe one shot that's 0G, and it's like a bad, like, probably because the cameraman was also in 0G.
Yeah.
The obsession with sex in 0G.
What do you mean the obsession with?
Some people are obsessed with it.
Who's obsessed with you? You travel in weird circles,
it would be
my
any
friend.
good, because I think, there's no. Well, I guess there's still friction, but like, I don't know, you bump into somebody, they're gonna go flying. They bump into you, you're gonna go flying. It's gonna be more trouble than it's worth. But SpaceX,
It's an obsession. But who in your life has ever mentioned that?
SpaceX right now, I mean, in fairness, SpaceX has been doing, they did go to the International Space Station with astronauts. But like every Elon Musk thing, like, you don't know what the fuck they're actually going to do, because he's always promising, like, tomorrow we're going to be doing this. So he said in 2017 that in 2018 they would be sending 2 wealthy anonymous customers around the moon, that they would not land on the moon, but
Boomerang
around it.
Uh-huh.
You get a free trip back if you do it right. Obviously that never happened. But
that we know of.
But they're saying now that, like, in a few years they're going to be selling for $55 million a seat a 8-day trip that would include going to the ISS. Now the ISS is 250 miles above the Earth's surface, so it's 5 times higher.
Now the ISS, the International Space Station, is maintained by
the U.S. and the Soviet Union mostly, but then other astronauts from other countries go up there.
Can you just show up there?
No, but if you've got money,
yeah. But I would hope that SpaceX would be like, "Hey, we're selling this for." It's like, I hope we're gouging this goofball.
Yeah, for $55 million, I'm sure they're, a big chunk of that is going to the ISS.
55 million. I feel like they could raise
well,
that
but
price.
again, this is what he's saying when
Yeah.
it's like, well, he's also been saying, like, oh, we're going to have full autonomous driving in Teslas. And meanwhile, they're, decapitating people driving under trucks right now. So he's just always hyperbolic about everything. So by the time they actually get there, I'm sure it's going to be like $100 million, and you're going to be up there for 2 days or something.
Pooping in front of people.
Yeah. But I mean, his big thing is, that he wants to go to Mars. So not so much the space. I mean, and that's also Bezos's thing. It's really just Branson that's like, no, let's just do this for fun.
Branson just wants to have a good time.
Yeah, he's a good time guy. And
also because he's 70, I think.
Yeah, he's 70.
I think he's
and
like
he's still a virgin, and he's like, Jesus Christ,
when's
what
it
do
gonna
I have to
happen
do?
for me? Yeah.
I have to fly up to space. Also, the CEO of Blue Origin's name is Bob Smith, which seems like
there's something
like,
going
no.
on with Blue Origin. That's Bezos's one.
Yeah.
Bezos has something going on here. I think you're right. I think we're gonna see this Bezos rocket blown to smithereens, and he's putting the old lady and the boy on there to distract us, and it'll be a bald dummy that's on there, and
well, there's gonna be a bald dummy on there one way or another.
Gonna be a very realistic dummy of Bezos on there, and as soon as the old lady and the boy figure that out, they're up in flames, and Bezos is living in the Cayman Islands, paying no taxes on anything, with all the I don't know, sex slaves he wants or whatever.
I mean, he could just do that now.
Yeah,
he's not paying taxes now.
Yeah.
I was looking up his brother, Mark, and like the thing that kept coming up is I guess I don't know when it was, but he did a TED Talk, and
about how you should be the brother of a billionaire.
No, like even worse, about how like he became a volunteer firefighter, and like the first fire he went on, he was like,
he worked the trampoline.
No. That he was like real upset because somebody, the fire chief was like, somebody needs to go in there and get the dog out because, you know, they got like the family out or whatever, the woman that lived there. And they were like, guy who's not Jeff Bezos, you go in and get the dog. And then they were like, or Mark Bezos, they were like, Mark Bezos, you go in and get this woman's shoes that's out here. And, you know, he was like, yeah, you know, the part of the house where there were shoes, you know, that part of the house wasn't on fire. So it wasn't that big of a deal. But then he said later, like the woman was so appreciative that like he had gotten her shoes. And his thing was like, you know, his TED Talk was like, be that guy, be the guy who gets somebody's shoes, be useful to the world, volunteer at a soup kitchen. It's like, how about you be useful to the world and tell your fucking brother to stop trying to get to space and like, you know, solve homelessness or something.
Yeah.
Just pay taxes so that the government can do. Yeah. Don't get him involved. Just tell him pay even just some taxes, pay 10% taxes.
Yeah.
And we can use that money to help people.
The gaw.
Fucking, I got a woman's shoes once, and I'm here to tell you, go work at a soup kitchen. So slap both of their bald heads.
That guy's bald too.
Yeah, of course that guy's bald too.
I should knock those heads together.
Like coconuts.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, all of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine having this much money? As much money as they have.
Yeah.
And not being like, hey, there are like a number of like existential threats to civilization right now.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, I'm going to fucking go to space.
Yeah.
These guys are the worst guys who have ever lived, right? Are there, I mean, not so much Branson. Branson's just a fun time party guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, is there anybody worse than
Hitler?
Yeah. Of course, Hitler.
I mean,
currently living. Yeah, there've been bad guys in the past. But right now, who's worse than Jeff Bezos?
George W. Bush. He's still alive.
Yeah, that's true. All right.
I'm just saying, my thing is like, part of me gets it.
I was in a room with George W. Bush, and he got a standing ovation from everybody.
Wow.
Not me, though. It's the one guy standing my ground.
Yeah.
Sitting in my chair with my arms crossed.
Yeah.
He's a war criminal.
I don't,
this man's a war criminal.
Yeah, I don't care that you brought me out to Jeffrey Epstein's private island. I'm not giving this man a standing ovation. And that's why he got thrown out of there, right?
None of this is true. Yeah. Yeah, I was at Jeffrey Epstein's private island.
I get on a fundamental level the whole, like, look, the Earth could get hit by an asteroid tomorrow, and that's it for the human race. The human race needs to be multi-planetary, and that's
no, it doesn't.
Listen,
no, it doesn't. No, you don't get that. You don't get that because it's not a real argument.
Let me finish. That's Musk's thing.
Yeah.
However, this is the same guy who has said recently, it's very difficult to give money away for good causes. That's why I haven't done it, because it's very difficult. It's also fucking difficult to get to Mars, and that hasn't stopped you from trying. You could set something up to try to be like, hey, my own little pet project I want to put people on Mars because I'm worried if we get hit by an asteroid. However, in the meantime, so that's not like plan A, that, as the planet dies, just rich people go to Mars, which is going to suck shit to live on.
Yeah, no. The rest of us are going to go and build things and well, not us. We've never built anything in our lives, but, people who are not billionaires will be there to make it comfortable for the billionaires.
But even you make this place the most comfortable you can, you still can't go outside.
Yeah.
So,
and also, it's not gonna how old is Elon Musk?
Yeah, 50 probably, somewhere around there.
I'm sure he thinks he's gonna live to 400 or whatever, but he's gonna be dead in 30 years.
I don't know. Branson's still alive.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's 20 years older.
Don't underestimate, these, look at Rupert Murdoch still kicking around. These people live for a long time, Tim.
Yeah.
They've got access to shit. But I'm just saying.
Rupert Murdoch, what does he do? Just sit in a chair all day going, I mean, that's what Sumner Redstone was doing. He just had an iPad that said yes, no, and fuck you, that he'd press those buttons.
Yeah. He didn't have a button that said dye my hair orange now. The orange is fading.
Yeah, they were on top of that. He's still alive, right?
I think so,
unless he recently died.
Yeah.
Yeah, these people are
ghouls.
Yeah. they're literal ghouls.
Yeah.
Fucking Sumner Redstone and Rupert Murdoch are just actual ghouls, right? They're just guys that just sit in chairs and go.
They're guys that look scarier than the Crypt Keeper himself.
Yeah, they based the Crypt Keeper on Sumner Redstone, and that was 30 years ago.
Yeah. And look, at least the Crypt Keeper's got a sense of humor. Sure, it's a dark sense of humor, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see. We have to do the plugs.
Yeah.
Go to the website, tcgt.com. You'll find everything there.
There's a Patreon.
Patreon.com/complete guide. We're wrapping up The Secret. Tim, this week I watched The Secret, Dare to Dream, starring Katie Holmes. And it's a movie about, this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. Oh boy, this was tough to get through. And I like Katie Holmes.
She's really good in The Gift.
She was very good in The Gift, and she's still got it as far as I'm concerned. She's still a very cute woman.
Okay, great assessment, Tom.
Patreon.com/complete guide. You can get that and so much more.
You got we've been doing books, the podcast, for a couple of years now.
Yeah, you get all those back episodes.
You get amazing facts.
Yeah.
A very recent popular episode was Tim and Tom Get High.
Yeah, we got high as kites.
And then we're gonna go to Dave and Buster's pretty soon.
We're not gonna go tomorrow because I broke my toes.
Yeah, we're gonna go tomorrow.
But I want to play all the racing games. I won't be able to press the pedals.
Yeah. So do that. And then you can vote on the next book, too.
Yeah, we'll be doing that. And we'll be doing some other fun experiments there, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I got a lot of ideas, Tom. I don't really. But
follow us on Instagram at TCGTE. Follow us on Twitter at Complete Guide. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Tom Reynolds.
Follow me at your pal, Tim.
Join our Discord, discord.gg/complete guide. I found out that's how you get on.
.gg.
Good game. That's what it stands for. On the kids online, once you're done with the game, you type GG, and that means good game.
Because it's discordapp.com or something.
No, like I said, Tim, it's discord.gg/complete guide.
Well, then why is it?
Also, check out our
also discord.com.
But that's not how you get to our server. reddit.com/r/TCG.
Yeah, get the conversation going at Reddit again. There's some malcontents in there. Invite invalid.
Oh, I might have to fix it.
Just look it up. And also, oh wait, you just said the Discord for a very long time. The Discord's great, but also get the Reddit going again.
Yeah.
Get some combos going. Speculate about things.
All right. Anything else, Tim? Tim, how much would you spend to go to space?
I have no desire.
Even if Richard Branson himself said, I'm looking for another virgin to come to space with me. And I would like it to be you, and I'll pay your way. And then when we come back, Khalid will perform his new single, and we'll both get a first row ticket.
I don't know who Khalid is. We established that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, I would need to be paid to go to.
How much would you have to be paid?
At least 7 figures.
So would you take $1 million?
Yeah, I'd take $1 million.
All right. We'll see you next week.
That was a HeadGum podcast.